The recovery in the state obviously is uneven. There are certain areas that are doing much better than others. And in many of the interviews that we do at WBZ and some of the conversations I had this morning, there are always exceptions to the rule. There are always companies that are doing exceptionally well right in the middle of areas that generally, or from an economist's point of view, is not doing well. Mm-hmm. Tell me about that unevenness, and can we see that these differences will start to even out as we move forward?
Yeah. It has been an extremely unequal recession and recovery so far. I mean, geographically, the best way to describe this is geographically. The Boston metro area, close into Boston, and the surrounding communities have done very well, and most of the rest of the Commonwealth has done poorly. And let me give you, again, from my Rick Perry card, some really interesting statistics on that.
You're going to coin a new term that we're going to be using now, even when he drops out of the campaign.
Right, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, right.
Well, so, overall, let's look at employment, first of all. Overall in Massachusetts, the peak to trough decline in employment was 4.3%. But in the Boston, now this is the Boston NECTA division. It's essentially what we think of as Metro Boston area. Employment decline was slightly less, 4%. But let's take another area of the Commonwealth, which is representative of the rest of the Commonwealth, Springfield. The peak to trough drop in employment there was 5.4%. So that the recession hit outside Boston harder. And the recovery was much stronger in Boston than outside Boston. So in the Boston metro area, we've already recovered 86% of the jobs lost in the recession. But in the Springfield area, only 38%. So you can see the unevenness in economic performance there. And another way to look at this is to take probably the single best measure of economic health. That's local unemployment rates. Overall in the state, in November, this is not seasonally adjusted, the unemployment rate was 6.4%. 7% seasonally adjusted, but 6.4% statewide in November. And listen to the range here. The parts of the state that aren't doing well, Lawrence, Fall River, New Bedford, and Springfield, those major areas all had unemployment rates above 10%, 14.4% in Lawrence. And when you seasonally adjust that, that's 15%. Compare that to the local Boston area. This town, Waltham, 4.6%. Cambridge, 4.1%. Boston as a whole, 6.0%. Places like Weston, 3.3%. Dover, 2.9%. I mean, that's full employment. So it's the communities that have been tied into the technology sectors or who have labor forces that are highly educated and tied into the knowledge-based science and service sectors, they haven't had a recession at all. They're doing fine. But the rest of the state is still in pretty bad shape. In rehab, if
you have a reaction to this, I know.
Yeah.